Bill Peters has resigned as head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes. We're going to discuss the reasons behind it and where he may be going next. And that's coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams. So if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So Bill Peters has resigned as head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes. There's certainly some interesting moves going on in the NHL today, and I thought this was certainly worthy of a discussion. So as you may or may not know, Bill Peters technically still had 1 year left on his head coaching contract with the Carolina Hurricanes. There was a clause in Bill Peters' contracts that gave him up until April 20th that he could opt out of the final year of his contract. After April 20th came and went, he would have to see through the final year of his deal. Now, it's been widely speculated that Carolina Hurricanes owner Tom Dundon has basically wanted Peters to move on, and that Peters was interested in moving along as well. It certainly works out better for the Hurricanes to have Peters resign so that they're not on the hook paying for his contract if they were to fire him instead. Obviously, when a coach gets fired like that, when they have remaining term, they are still paid until they find other employment or things work out that way. So it can be more expensive for a team to fire a coach like that. As we've all seen so far from Tom Dundon, it looks as though he's more a fan of reassigning people and having them still work in other capacities for the organization rather than pay them to not work for them, which I guess in some cases makes good business sense. It's hard to justify paying somebody to not work for you anymore. But obviously, with everything going on in Carolina, there's been a lot of changes so far since the new ownership has taken over. For the most part, mostly positive. It looks as though he'd like to get a clean slate with a new GM, new coach. Obviously, they haven't hired their GM yet since they reassigned Ron Francis to a new role. Basically, Don Waddell's the interim GM for now, kind of overseeing that part of the organization until they find their new permanent general manager. And of course, I assume what they'll do is he'll likely be responsible for hiring the next coach. But considering Tom Dundon and how hands-on he is and seems to be a little bit, likes to really be in control and have his hands on everything, wouldn't be completely shocking if they actually go ahead and hire internally here. From what I've heard, it looks as though he is a big fan of Rod Brind'Amour, who has been working with the Hurricanes for some time and is an assistant coach. And it wouldn't be a complete shocker to have him move into the head coaching position. Obviously, he's a very well-respected hockey guy, had a long, prestigious career in the NHL, has been working with the organization, knows the players well, so it would be a pretty easy transition to go ahead and hire Brind'Amour to be the next head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm not sure how quickly we're going to get an announcement on the Hurricanes and how they're moving forward. I don't really think they need to rush here. Obviously, they're already looking for a general manager, and I guess that's a topic for another day. But for right now, the big speculation is that Bill Peters is going to be the next head coach of the Calgary Flames. Ever since they fired Glenn Gulletson, it appears as though that they kind of had their eye on somebody. There's been a lot of speculation here in the last couple of days from a lot of the hockey insiders. I've seen notes from Bob McKenzie, Elliot Friedman, Pierre LeBrun, all these guys that are all the inside scoop here, saying that they believe that Bill Peters was high up on Calgary's list and they were real keen on getting him in their organization to be the next head coach to replace Glenn Gulletson. So obviously they just fired Gulletson. It hasn't been very long. It's only been a few days. Seems like a little bit of an odd move for them to kind of really rush here. Obviously, there must be really high on Bill Peters to get him in there. I mean, not to knock Peters, but he's leaving a team in Carolina they haven't made the playoffs under his tenure. And in a lot of ways, the Hurricanes have the same type of issues as the Flames. I mean, they've had struggles with consistent goaltending over the last number of years. They both have a fairly young, fairly strong defensive core that have probably underperformed a little bit, but they have a lot of good young defensemen to work with. So, I mean, that's a common trend as well. So, I mean, they're not exactly the same team, but they have a lot of the same issues. They have some goaltending consistency issues, and they have consistency with their forward group, steadily scoring goals at a good pace to get themselves into the playoffs. So, obviously, it seems weird to me a little bit in a sense that Calgary would rush out to grab an NHL coach from another team that really hasn't had any success. Now, I'm not going to sit here and completely knock Bill Peters. Obviously, he has had a fair bit of success in the past, which is what got him here. He does have a lot of experience. He coached in the WHL, coached the Spokane Chiefs to a Memorial Cup. So obviously he's won the biggest title at the junior level. So that's a really nice accomplishment. for Peters. He coached at the AHL level. He did have success each of the years he coached there. His team made the playoffs, so that was a positive. There was no championship, but there was at least playoff appearances, so there was success. He did have a chance to coach as an assistant in Detroit for a while, so we get to learn from Mike Babcock for a few years, who was one of our current top NHL coaches right now. So obviously the chance to work with him was a great experience. Obviously Bill Peters has worked a few times under the international hockey with Team Canada, so that's some great experience for him as well. So he does bring a wealth of experience. He does have a lot of success at every other level he's coached at other than the NHL. But at the end of the day, that's where we're at. And, he does have, I guess, the one thing that you can say about Peters more than Gulletson is that he does have a little bit more of a reputation for kind of pushing his players a little harder and maybe getting a little bit more out of them. But at the end of the day here, both teams are in similar predicaments. Getting close to the playoffs, but not making it. In fact, at least Calgary's been in the playoffs a few times in recent years, whereas Carolina hasn't been in quite some time. So it's a little bit mind-boggling in a way with all the other candidates that are out there. I really thought Calgary might go with another more experienced coach. For example, like Alain Vigneault's out there. There was speculation they might consider bringing back Daryl Sutter. Not sure those are the greatest opportunities for the Flames and those coaches, but even Dave Tippett's name has been out there. There's all kinds of experienced coaches right now that are looking for work. For me, I'm a little bit confused as to why the Flames are so high on Peters. I mean, like I said, I don't want to completely knock him. He's had a lot of success. Obviously, they got him to the NHL, but at the same time, he just hasn't had a ton of success at the NHL level. So when you have all these other people you could be looking at, it just seems like they're really high on him. Obviously, he's from Alberta. That really shouldn't matter, shouldn't play a role in their decision. But at the same time, it's been speculated that he'd love an opportunity to go back and coach in his home province. So I don't blame him for that. Who wouldn't want to be as close to home as possible while getting a chance to work at the highest level in the sport that you work in? So makes total sense on his part. But leave some comments down below. What do you think about the Calgary Flames bringing in Bill Peters as their new head coach? Obviously, as of the recording of this video, the Calgary Flames have not officially hired Bill Peters, but it is widely speculated that it's likely going to get done, if not today, then very, very soon. Obviously, it wouldn't make sense for Bill Peters from a financial standpoint to resign his position with the Carolina Hurricanes, leave all that money on the table. It was reported he was earning $1.6 million as a head coach, and for him to not have another job lined up and secured. Now, there has been some speculation that there are other teams, as we know, that need head coaches in the NHL. As of today, there's a few others looking for new coaches too. That there's been multiple teams reaching out to Peters once they realized and knew that he had an out clause in Carolina and that he was considering using it, that there's been interest from other clubs. Now, I can't confirm or deny which ones those might be or how serious talks may have gotten with any of them. But what's being reported out there is that he's likely going to be named the next head coach of the Calgary Flames, and it appears to be very, very close to being announced or being a done deal as I record this video. By the time this actually gets posted to YouTube here in a little while, it may not be official yet, and then maybe it will be. But either way, what do you think about him resigning in Carolina? And what do you think about the fact that he's likely the next head coach for the Calgary Flames? So leave your thoughts down below in the comments. Don't forget as well, we have a big giveaway coming up here very shortly. As soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers, we have a giveaway that we're going to be doing for a brand new NHL Adidas hat. So stay tuned for that. If you're new, consider subscribing to take part. I'd greatly appreciate that. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button down below. I'd appreciate that as well. If you haven't done so already, consider following us on Twitter. You're going to find our Twitter handle on the screen right here. We're very active on Twitter, and we love engaging in discussion with all of our viewers and subscribers that are on Twitter as well. So check that out. It's down below in the description. As always, thank you very much for watching, everybody. We will catch you next time.